Joining us now,
is the word of the morning.
Chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz of Utah. Mark Halpern, Donnie Deutsch, and Nick Confessori all back with us as well. Good to have you this morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, Mr. Chairman, tell us about Flynn. He's asking for immunity. Will you guys give it to him?
I don't think he should get immunity. Immunity for what, first of all? But if there's an active, open investigation by the FBI, they shouldn't do that. Our committee has actually been looking at something that we have paperwork that's due from the White House, the Pentagon, and the State Department today, but we may be doing something later this week related to his payments that he received from not only Russia, but Turkey as well. You're just not allowed to accept these types of payments as a former military officer.
Wow.
So go into that a little bit more. So obviously we've heard about the Russian payments. We've heard some about the Turkey payments. But talk about specifically what you're concerned about and what the committee's concerned about.
We're doing this together with Elijah Cummings, a ranking member, the Democrats and I, but we sent a letter out to the State Department, the Pentagon, the White House, saying, as a former military officer, you're required by law, if you're going to take payments directly from these countries, you have to not only seek, but you have to get permission from the Secretary of State, from the Secretary of Defense. It appears as if he didn't do that. So we're prepared then later this week, maybe as early as Tuesday, to send a letter for final determination to the GAO. It's not a criminal referral, but a referral to the GAO. And then the penalty, most likely, at least based on precedent, would be he'd have to repay all of that money that he did take.
Are we talking about a great deal of money?
Well, it depends on your perspective, but it's tens of thousands of dollars, yeah.
Really?
Now, are you saying there's not a crime attached to that type of behavior?
It's not it isn't a statute. There is a statute that says you have to seek this permission and be granted this permission. And that's true for all military officers. Even if they've left their work at the Pentagon, they are still on call, so to speak, and they still can't take this money.
Is it a crime not to report
It's a violation of the statute, and so that's part of what we found. Now, maybe there's some letter out there, but we think that somebody would have produced it by now, and we have until close of business today to give us that information.
I want to ask you about your colleague, Chairman Nunes, and what he's done. I know House members are reluctant to criticize other House members, but can you explain his actions and defend his actions and apparently not telling the truth about what information he got, where he got it, and then very publicly going to the White House?
Well, look, he said he was sorry about that. I think he did make a mistake, and he said as much. But I think what we're focused on is the underlying facts. And now that Adam Schiff has gone over and actually looked at that information as well, at least what I'm reading in the newspaper is that he's saying, look, the rest of the committee should look at this. So I think we're much more concerned about the underlying facts. I know there's a lot of questions about process, but when he said he made a mistake.
What was his mistake?
Well, he should have done it with a Democrat in tow as well. I went up to the White House last week with the Democrats, and we looked at got a briefing in the Situation Room, classified, about Mar-a-Lago and the situation. He didn't read a thing about it.
But let's talk about the underlying question. What is his concern? What is the concern you have about what went on, what the president apparently is concerned about?
Well, if you're looking, I mean, again, it's another committee. We're each going to do this a different way, but if he's seeking facts, wherever those facts may take them, you want to go find those facts. So if they happen to be in the old executive office building, hey, go have a look at them. But you need to also do it with the Democrats.
Really briefly, we're following some breaking news out of Russia. Reports of one, possibly two explosions, deadly explosions at train stations in St. Petersburg. According to reports, an explosive device was set off in a train car at the station. There are reports that at least 10 people have been killed and several others have been hurt. We're going to continue to follow and bring you the details as they develop. Again, this is in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Speaking of Russia, the President of the United States has called your investigation and other congressional investigations, quote, a witch hunt. How do you respond to the president?
No, I don't see it that way. I don't think they're a witch hunt. Look, we're going to do our own investigations. If the president thinks there's information we should have, we're happy to receive it. But there's a swirl out there that we need to get to the bottom of.
Wait. What's a question that you and your constituents would like to know? The number one question, if you could get one answer from the White House, what would it be?
Well, we want to get all the information. I don't know where exactly the conclusion is, but what is all the information? I mean, who else is involved? Now, the Senate and the House Intelligence Committees are going to lead out on that. We play more of a supportive role, but in the case of General Flynn, then we're going to be looking at, obviously, the payments that he was taking.
I want to go back to General Flynn, the immunity thing. You called it mysterious.
Yeah.
I would call it, my history of watching Law and Order and CSI and all the shows that we like to watch is that when someone is asking for immunity, it suggests they've done something really wrong, and they have some really good information about people more powerful than them, otherwise immunity, that word doesn't get uttered. Is that a safe assumption?
Well, it was the position that General Flynn took last year. It's the position that President, or then candidate, Donald Trump took. And so it does beg the question, okay, what are you trading for? I was highly critical of President Obama and the Department of Justice when they gave five people immunity on the email investigation, and we got nothing for it. So you don't just give immunity just to hand it out like candy. The FBI has made that mistake in the past, and I don't think they should do it again.
What does it say about the president's judgment that 3 or 4 months ago, Michael Flynn was the person he thought should be National Security Advisor?
Well, I'm actually glad that he got him out of there pretty quickly. He came in, I think they figured out that he wasn't telling the truth, at least best I can tell, and that he dismissed him. So a mistake in retrospect, but I am glad that he got rid of him fairly swiftly.
Yeah.
Nick Confessori's with us.
in.
Nick.
Hey, Congressman, I want to change topics really fast. So last week you were quoted in a great profile in the Atlantic Monthly saying that Trump is already rich, so you're not worried about him enriching himself in the presidency. And I want to clarify that remark because it sounds like you're saying that a rich person can't be corrupt or is not in danger of trying to enrich themselves at all. It shouldn't be a worry. Is that your view for oversight for the Trump White House?
No, you can't summarize everything in one sentence. But look, we're going to keep a watchful eye. My job is not to be a cheerleader for the president. My job is to hold them accountable and watch what they're doing and how they're doing it, how they're spending or not spending public funds. And so, of course, you're always going to look at it. And now it's the Trump administration. So there's 2 million plus people that are working there, and there's always somebody doing something stupid somewhere. So we've got to figure it out.
By the way, there always is. Let me ask you something. You talked about all the people working there. There is always somebody doing something stupid or something.
That's a theme of the show, isn't it?
Especially when I'm around, because you always know I'm the one doing stupid things. But are you concerned about the number of appointments that Trump has made, or the lack of appointments for these agencies, whether it's in state or across the entire government?
I think what you're going to see actually long term is there's a lot of them that they're not going to fill because they have no intention of funding those types of things, particularly in the Department of Education. But that whole process of all these thousands of appointments that need to go through the process, and then the Senate confirmation process, this is a huge story. But I know there are lots of agencies where they're not going to put in specific people because they just don't believe that that function should even be there.
Wow. Okay.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz, thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman. He gave us the quote of the morning.
Quote of the morning.
I think it's
Up
part of the year,
next,
actually. I think
it could be.
the battle to confirm Supreme Court